While Fauvism and Cubism were avant-garde, pushing and challenging the limits of modern art, they were still pretty easy to understand. Fauvists liked to use unnatural colors, and Cubists liked to break objects down to geometric shapes. The art style we're going to talk about today is a little more complicated, because Dada artists liked, well, they liked to thumb their nose at the art world, basically. What do I mean by that? Well, let's talk about the time period in which Dada artists worked in order to better understand why they were so upset. Let's go back to World War I. The avant-garde writers, actors, and artists of the time were angry about the war and blamed it on the bourgeois culture, the middle class. They felt that the bourgeois were too obsessed with commercialism and industrial interests and were trying to force their ideals on the general public. They felt that they were too pretentious, stuck up, trying to be better than they were, as if they were upper class when they were really just middle class. It makes sense, then, that the Dada movement was born in Zurich, Switzerland, because Switzerland was neutral during World War I and still is today. Fed up with the status quo and the turmoil of war, writers, actors, and artists rebelled by making anti-art, art that goes against everything the bourgeois and history said that art should be. Basically, they tried to be as irrelevant as possible. One actor, Hugo Ball, became famous for his sound poems. He took to the stage like he was going to recite poetry, but instead he let loose a string of gibberish that meant nothing at all, just because he could. They believed that the only hope for society was to destroy all established systems based on reason and logic and replace them with anarchy and irrationality. So they attacked the traditional values of literature, philosophy, and art and challenged the status quo. Artists like Marcel Duchamp responded by creating ready-mades, or assembling found objects and displaying them as art. For example, he attached a bike wheel to a stool and displayed it in a museum. He also painted a mustache on a copy of the Mona Lisa, and is actually famous for writing on a porcelain urinal, naming it Fountain, and calling that his artwork. Take that, art world, what now? So how did they come up with the term Dada? In French, Dada means rocking horse. In German, it's baby talk. And in Russian, it's yes, yes. My favorite version involves the writer Zara coining the term while sticking a brioche roll up his nose. Basically, it's just ridiculous.